What is up there, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Dynamic Conversations, the podcast where I chat with friends of mine about a variety of different topics. In this conversation, in this dynamic conversation, I've invited for a second round Asja Caspari. To give a little introduction about Asja, she is a fashion and portrait photographer located in Germany, Hamburg. Some of her clients that she's worked with are Google, Audi, Rowohlt Verlag. She also has had her work published in multiple magazines and had it showcased in many exhibitions. All to say, she's an amazing photographer. Some of the things that we talk about in this dynamic conversation are how Asja makes her models feel good, confident, and calm during photo shoots. We also talk about the flow states. Meditation is another topic that we discuss. Also, how to not get discouraged when you become self-employed, when you first start out as an entrepreneur or a freelancer, because it easily can happen to get discouraged in the beginning. We as well talk about the victim mentality and as well whether or not to use your phone in the morning or right before you go off to bed, and many more topics to come. Now, to find all the resources, all the books, people, everything that we talk about and mention in this conversation, check out the show notes located in the description of this episode. And there as well, you can find social media links to Asja if you want to follow her, or as well a link to her website. And as well, if you like to listen to our first conversation, which was episode 002, that link will be as well located in the show notes. But with that, please enjoy this dynamic conversation with Asja Caspari and me. It's back, right?
I can hear you again.
But you cannot see me?
I can see you also.
But as a moving image or as a frozen image?
Yes, as a moving image, but I was just wondering if it's a delay, but it is not. You are alive.
All right, so, okay. But anyway, let's otherwise dig into some of the things that we wrote down that we want to talk about. Do you want to start with anything, with any topic that you wrote down?
You go ahead, please.
Or, okay, let me go ahead. Okay, then. So, all right. Yeah, there were a few things that I was curious about to ask you. And one was, so building something out like a photography career or your own business or something, right? Or with me, like the IPS project, building that out. It's hard to explain sometimes to people what you do. And also with photography, people know a camera and what photography kind of is, you take photos of people, but sometimes, and I'm sure you have been asked that question, like, do you earn actually money with that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So.
Oh my God, I feel so offended.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, I know a lot of photographers who are very successful, you amongst them, that I'm like, of course you can make good money with this. But for some people, because it might not be always like, I mean, maybe it's kind of like of a newer job than in the past with your parents or grandparents or so, because it's mostly them that are kind of like asking that, like, can you make money with that? But mainly what I want to get to, or of the question is, how did you not get discouraged becoming a photographer when people told you, can you actually make money from this? Or when you were in the beginning parts of building it up, the career, how did you stay motivated to build that up?
Do you ask me for advice to new young photographers, or how did I not get discouraged?
I'm particularly asking actually how you took this on. So if there's some advice on that, that's great. But I'm just curious, how did you not get discouraged? Like, was there something that you did? Were there some words of advice that you've heard that helped you? Was there anything that you did or that helped you during those years?
First of all, this question that you mentioned, like, Oh, really? Oh, so cool. So are you're a photographer full time? Can you really earn money with it? That will send me on a rant because like now I don't get that question anymore. Oh, that's interesting. Now you're asking it. I'm realizing that I don't get it anymore.
You do
Huh.
not get it anymore.
I don't get it anymore.
Do you
Just speak.
wonder why? I mean, why you don't get it too much
That's
now
super interesting.
compared to some years ago?
Yeah, I think because most people, like it's very rare that I meet a person that I don't know and who hasn't followed me or seen anything of me
Oh.
on any social media before.
Hmm.
Like I do meet those people, but they don't have the audacity to ask me this question, right? Because that's a little bit personal about
Mm.
the monies part. So everyone who is my acquaintance has followed me on Twitter, on Instagram, or Facebook, or seen my website or my newsletter, and they saw me grow. And I think by now it is really apparent that I do earn money with
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And it would seem like a weird question to ask.
Right. You have behind the scenes photos that they can see and they're like, ah, yeah, she's actually on the
Yeah,
job.
I think the message that I'm transmitting quite a lot is that I'm active, things are happening in
Yeah.
my life, and like, wow, even bigger now. Wow, I got this interview. Wow, I'm so honored that this big advertisement agency asked me and stuff.
Hmm.
So I guess that they would be like weird to ask if it's all for free.
Mm. Yep.
But I got this question a lot in the beginning, in the first years, and it made me so mad. First, it made me really insecure, really in the beginning. And
Yep.
I felt like I didn't really have a quick, good answer. I started to justify and explain. And then I noticed, why am I doing this? I feel uncomfortable.
Yep.
And then I started to protect my anger at the people and think like, how dare you? I don't go around asking you how much you make and how big was your bonus this year? You know, did you make your internal goals with your boss? And, found it like super weird how people ask that, and then always try to think, what are they really asking? Do they really want to know, like, what's the question behind it? Do
That's a
they
good.
want to know my exact
Yeah.
salary,
Uh-huh.
or do they want to, maybe they have like this dream inside themselves of leaving everything behind and jumping into what their passion is, but
Yeah.
have this fear of maybe not earning enough money, and then they want me to confirm this doubt and be like, yeah, it's
Well, that could
possible.
be one thing for sure, but also maybe they have not met a lot of photographers or people who said that they are a photographer, right? So they're actually generally curious, like, do you actually make a living from this? Because I've not met too many people who do this, and maybe they didn't say that last part of that, but maybe that's what they also should say,
Yeah.
that they just really don't know too much about it.
Sometimes they weren't even asking like how much money do you make or can you live from it, but they were asking more, so how is it going?
Yeah,
But I don't know, it even like in the beginning that put a lot of pressure on me, and
sure.
I felt like, how can I answer this? Like I'm in the beginning, so of course I'm not earning that much, but like it's
Yeah.
going in the right direction, and I never had a short,
Mm.
good answer to that.
It's a really tough one, right? And it's really unfair exactly when you are just starting out to expect immediately that you should be successful.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe they're not even thinking that far, right? That they're not even taking it into account that you just started out. I don't even know if they had that information. But if they do, yeah.
And I
But
think it's a question that really requires it, if you want to be honest, a really differentiated
Mhm.
answer. How is it going? So there's so many levels on which I can answer to that,
Right.
like this is my hopes, my dreams, this is where I failed. But there I got courage, and money wise it's this, but reputation wise, because in photography especially, I don't know in your business, a lot in the beginning is to build, you to build your brand and to build your reputation. You will work for free a lot
Yep.
just to get a publication in that magazine and to have that editor remember you and go to that networking event.
Yep.
So that also were successes for me,
Mhm.
but of course not
It's
money
true.
wise.
Yes. And mostly people link success directly with money, but not per se with the people that like your work and that want to work in the future with you more.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Hmm.
So yeah, that for years it made me like angry.
I get that. I get that totally.
I
Because
found
I've
it
been
like very
asked,
impolite, like to
but
ask.
I've been asked that, or I've gotten that a lot of times in the beginning too.
And you don't get it anymore?
Um, I cannot immediately remember, at least not. I mean, many times people are slightly unsure of how I exactly can make money through that, through, for example, the platform, the IPS project, because they just generally don't know. And so they might ask, like, yeah, how do you make money from that?
Yeah, less
Uh,
as a real curious question, like no.
yeah, yeah. And it's mostly, I do have to say, it's mostly a bit older people, like, that just have no idea how these systems kind of work. Uh, this, the internet kind of world, or the internet world, how that kind of works. So I kind of take the question from there on, that I'm like, yeah, I get that you don't immediately understand that world, maybe. And then I just try to explain it. So, but in general, the people who know me now, like in my family, or people also like, yeah, have seen me now a bit more on the internet, and see also if they go to the website and all the things that are happening there, they get more a feeling like, ah, this is actually a thing. So I do not get it too much more. And I'm also more sure what I am actually doing. Where in the beginning, when I was building it out, it was like a rough stone that I was still having difficulty with defining exactly what I was trying to make out of it. So it was also sometimes harder, and I was more insecure with explaining it to people. Now
Mm.
I kind of know exactly what I'm making and what it is. And
But
so they feel the
yeah,
confidence, and with that also they feel like, ah, yeah, it's probably, yeah, it works.
to be honest, I think I wouldn't be able to explain how you make money. I mean, I know through selling courses, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
know if that's the only income source or if you have
Yeah.
different ones. And
There's
plus,
different
I
ones.
don't want to know, I'm not asking you the amount, but
Uh,
it would be super hard for me to estimate, like, are you making, 10,000 a year? Are you making 100,000 a year, or somewhere in between? Or,
yeah.
absolutely no idea. But also it's none of my business, I
Well,
think.
I
And
actually made on YouTube, on my personal YouTube channel, like maybe a 45 minutes where I explained everything on that,
all
on
right.
on my
Okay. Interesting.
streams of income.
Oh, super cool. I'm gonna
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah, and I mean, I literally explained everything, and I kind of made that video because I had questions on this so many times that I was like, let me just make a video on this, so when people ask me, I can just send it to them and I don't have to explain it every time.
Yeah.
And also just because whenever I get a similar question asked multiple times or many times by someone, I just am like, okay, let me create or put out the information through a piece of content like a blog post or a video.
Yeah.
So I did that with that actually.
Well, an efficient way I found was two things. First of all, my mom, she told me, yeah, but you don't always have to take everyone super serious and go into detail and how's it
Mm,
going? And then explain, like, on that level is good there, I'm afraid there, blah, blah, blah. Just say, if you don't feel like it, just say good, you know,
exactly.
point. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's so easy.
Uh-huh.
And then with the money part, I could always silence people when I said, like, which was true. I said, I can live from it and I don't have any job apart.
All right. So yeah, that's an easy and short answer that
So then,
explains everything that
like,
they
I don't
asked
have
for,
to
right?
work in a bar at night or anything. I just live from my photography. And then they're like, oh, cool. Oh, congratulations. Nice.
Yeah. So, but how did you not get discouraged in the beginning, building this up, this career?
Because I felt that those people don't have any idea anyways. So what they
Mm,
said didn't matter to me. Then my motivation didn't come from earning money and is still not coming from earning money. It's like a necessity to do it.
yeah.
Like, sounds cheesy, but I'm just following my heart and I feel I cannot fail, possibly, at least not economically, because even if I don't get paid anymore, I don't get customers, I would still do like take photographs,
Sure.
right? Even if I was unemployed, I would still take photographs.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone steals my camera, and I don't have any penny left, I don't know what I would do, but
Mm. You will
and
figure something out.
yeah, I will figure something out.
Yeah.
And so no one can take that from me. That's like super good. And if I earn money with it, even better. and I'll do it until it doesn't work anymore. And so that's when I get discouraged. And every day proves that I'm right, but I might be wrong at one point. And then I just change course.
Exactly.
And the interesting thing is that those people who didn't know, who were like acquaintances from school, like old school colleagues asking like, oh yeah, is it really working? There are so many photographers on the market. It didn't affect me at all because I was also lucky because success was coming in. Like I said, it was always like, it was going upwards all the time.
What were you doing? Yeah. What were you doing for it to move upwards?
Also, it's a complex question. But just to finish that one topic, what's more discouraging now is that I'm in the community. I reached the community of the professional photographers. I'm part of an association of German
I saw it on your website.
Yeah, it's it's really renowned here, and it's like good. And I recently got upgraded to a professional member. Before I was a junior. So that it's like
it's like a badge that shows like, okay, professional status. Yes.
Yeah. And so for me, it is my motivation to be there is because I'm among like some of the top photographers of Germany, and I'm so excited. That's where I dreamt to be for years, just to be in that community and to sit next to like the one who does the, I don't know, Audi campaign and be like, hey, so Uwe, how did you do it with the light, blah, blah, blah. And I love that. That must be amazing. It is amazing. And you cannot imagine. I'm sitting there and my heart, like, I'm just happy every time we have a meeting. Everyone else is annoyed because the meetings drag on for 4 hours, and I'm just happy.
Well, because it took time at work, right, to get there. And then when you finally are sitting there amongst those other professionals, you're like, yeah, this is where I belong. This is where I worked to get to. And then you're there. And but I can imagine how good that must feel.
In my youth and also my 20s, whenever I met a photographer, I don't know, I got this tingly feeling, and I got like a magnet. I got drawn to that person, and I asked so many questions, and I dreamt to live their life. So it's amazing that now I just do it. And it's also crazy how long it took me to get there, because that craving I had for years. But what I'm going to is that among those photographers are a lot of old photographers who have known the golden 90s, for example. And apparently that has been a time when people were just earning thousands and thousands and thousands of euros or marks or dollars with photography.
Okay.
And those times are over. And they mourn it, which I can totally understand, and they are quite negative. There is I'm not saying everyone who's old, but like quite a lot, and they are more the risk of it discouraging younger photographers, because they're saying all the time, it's so much competition, a photo is not worth anything anymore. Everyone has their cell phone. The clients treat you like shit. They want it now, and then they don't value you. And
they're approaching this the wrong way, though, because times will always change in every industry, and they're kind of just lingering in the past, not taking the opportunities in photography that might be now today that weren't in the past, because they're so fixated on how it used to be.
Yeah. Plus, I think there's no moral obligation how photography should be. I mean, I can understand that someone's mourning some things that they had that they wish would be there.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And no one says that a photo that, I don't know, Dr. Oetker food company uses for their packaging has to be a professional photo. They can take a cell phone photo if they like. I can be unhappy about that. Okay, I can wish that they had a more professional photo, but if it's enough for them, if it works for them, there is no law saying that it has to be different. And then maybe there is no need for photographers anymore. So what? It's not that we are saving lives, I know there's a big industry and there's like people's salary depending on it, but I think you cannot tell people, like, what they're basically saying often is that other people don't know about quality and style, and that they are that there's less budget and they are corrupting the market with their bad taste.
Yeah, but I guess they're just so fixated on something from the past. Like, I think if they would focus more on the things that people might be interested in now, more around photos, like like phone photography, for example, and take a general interest in phone photography and teach courses on that, or because I think there's a high demand of people who would be interested to learn how to take good photos through their phone. But you've got to be willing to look at today to actually take those chances too.
It's true.
Because there is still a need of photographers or people teaching how to take photos. Or Instagram, for example, is also a great platform for photographers, right? And I guess those old guys or old women are not looking at today's world.
Well, it's true. It's like, I think you cannot make as much money anymore because, for example, there used to be a sector where it's called stock photography. Probably you know it, right?
Yeah.
That you buy like a ready-made image that fits whatever you need.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, some photographers dedicated their whole life or career to that, producing those images, I don't know, like two men shaking hands, and then it's bought by a company for their PowerPoint presentation.
Yep.
And now there is a website, for example, it's called Unsplash.
I know it.
Yeah, and it's for free, and it's really high quality.
Yep. And
I think you can get nearly everything that you want. Of course, not custom made. It's not your employees who are on there, but like in general, if you just want to illustrate some subject matter, you will find it.
Yeah.
And that was the death, what do you call it? Like, that killed a whole market segment.
Yeah.
And that's like, I can understand. It's horrible for people. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't see that there's a moral obligation behind it, that it has to exist. Okay, you are replaced. It's horrible, but...
Exactly. And it will happen always. There's never going to be a safe job position or a safe thing that is never going to change. Everything is always changing.
That's why I am pro, how do you call it, like universal basic income. Because I think that way people can just follow their passion. They can continue taking photos, but don't have to worry for the rent.
Right. The pressure of earning money and the anxiety, if you don't have it, would take the pressure off. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't get discouraged building your career up.
No, not money-wise. And also my standard of living is very low. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I even lowered it. Yep. I moved out of a big apartment to a smaller one, and a huge burden went off my chest. And I tend on staying here for a while, even though I'm earning quite well now, and I hope it's going up. So I don't need that much. Mm-hmm. And I always thought, what's the alternative? Like, don't take photos, don't even try. You know,
this reminds me of the interview with Naval, because he was also talking about like, to me, always like the combination, or that what you do feels like play has always been something that I always felt like, that makes so much sense. Yes. But when he was confirming that again, because he also talked about it, I was like, and someone like him, I was like, yes, see, like, it's true. Because in the long run, it's always going to play out so much better than if you're just only fixated on the earning of money. That alone, it's not going to play out so well in the long run. But if you have a passion or a love for something, and even if you would not earn money doing it, still would do it, it's gonna pay out, literally.
I'm reading a book at the moment. It's called The Lazy Way to Success by Fred Gladstone.
I don't know this.
I didn't know it before I got it for my birthday from a person that I really appreciate.
For your birthday?
Yeah, for my birthday.
He's like, hey, here, the lazy way to get to success for your birthday.
And I wonder what he wants to tell me, because I'm already like kind of half through. I'm reading it every morning a little bit. But it's also, I have to admit, like it's a lot of, like it's big pages and drawings and
It looks like a different format of a book, so I guess it is filled with
yeah, you
illustrations.
know,
Oh
so
wow.
it's like quite fast to read it.
Oh, that's fun.
And it's fun to read. But I wonder what, because he knows me well, I think, and he's my cousin's partner.
Uh-huh.
And he's also self-employed, so he's the person I feel understands me.
Yep.
And well, I'm curious to find out what the second part says, but so far everything that's in here, I feel that it's is it called preaching to the converted? It's he's saying things I completely agree, but I'm already following them. So basically,
Oh.
yeah, he's also saying like follow your heart, and when it feels like part of play, then you're on the right path.
Mm.
And he says one thing that I find interesting,
Mm-hmm.
that success and hard work are inversely connected. Like the harder you work, the less success you will have. And the more you get lazy, the more success you will have. No, did I say it?
So the less you do, the more you will get?
Yeah, something like that.
But how would that be correct?
He says never anything good came out of a lot of hustle.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I find it quite radical.
I mean, is there no more explained behind that sentence?
Yeah, then he says, of course, that you should, like, if you want to lie around, then lie around. But he says once you find your dharma, I think he gets it from spirituality, like your calling, where you feel like complete bliss and in a flow and play, then you naturally get up and do stuff and they feel easy. He's just against like things that feel hard and struggle. It's not against like doing a lot, but more or less like you do it, I think.
Yeah, but I also work hard. I mean, I like it, and that's why it drives me to basically every day work on it. But I work a lot, you know? It's not like all of this game. I mean, okay, if you would mean more like, okay, it should feel not like hard work, but more like fun, then I get it. But it's not like I would have gotten to where I am today by no hard work.
But what is hard work?
Well, okay. Well, for me then hard work is getting up, sitting down and doing what you should do to get to your goals that you've set.
But is there some times or always something that you would rather do and would like to do better, and then you tell yourself no?
There are times where I would rather do something else because I feel less motivated on that day. But sometimes it's just about sitting down and then the motivation comes.
Yeah, maybe you would be even more successful if on those days you did something else.
Maybe. I mean, I get maybe in the way that if you would do something else, you might think about other things, or, you know, and with that come up with better solutions to something. So I guess maybe, but I don't know. I don't feel right at the moment how I'm doing it by sitting down and working, that it has failed me. Like things have been going up steadily in a good way.
But I guess he's not saying that you have to love every second of your day, you know, and never
that's
ever
impossible.
do it. Yeah.
I think that's a very...
But like the broad thing that you are not
Yes.
dragging yourself to work and working for it.
Of course, and that's not what I have. So I have not read the book, so I do not know exactly what it is about. But how like, do you like it so far?
Yeah, like it's easy to read.
Yep.
And but I'm also like curious to ask my friends, my cousin's partner's opinion or reason why he gave it to me, because he must have thought that there's something in it that I can learn and that I'm not applying so far.
Or do you think that might be the reason, or do you think he might just be like, yeah, that could be a fun book for her without much thought behind it?
Well, I think then, like, if you really think that, then I would give someone a novel, you know.
But that's what you would do. That's not what someone else would do.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, because do you like to receive books?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So even if it could be a really bad book, you would still read it if someone gave it to you?
Well, I would give it a try because I first give the benefit of the doubt to the person, trusting
Okay.
that they have some thought behind it. For example, my aunt, for my birthday, she also gave me a book,
Hmm.
and it looked like the typical Buddhism book with
Yeah.
some wise thoughts about life or something.
Uh-huh.
And I must admit, I hope she's not listening to this, but
I
that
will
I
send it to
didn't,
her.
yeah, didn't really feel like
Mm.
excited when I got it to read it. Yeah, just, yeah, I don't know. And then she wrote a card saying that this book has come into her life when she was 40 years old, also because I recently turned 40,
Mhm.
and that she has read it since, like, I don't know how many times, and that it has accompanied her life, and that it's one of the most important books for her in her life. And
Yeah.
that totally changes everything because now I'm super curious to read it and
Mm.
also to get closer to my aunt to understand what's moving her.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
But I mean, like, I would be really mad if someone gives me a thoughtless, shitty book and then I waste my time reading it because there's so many good books and I feel I don't have enough time
Yeah.
to read all of them. So I really have to choose wisely.
Hmm. Well, but do you feel with this book that it's a wise book to read?
Well, I must admit, so far, like I say, I'm half through and it's nothing new.
Yeah.
So, but as it's so easy to read, I will continue and try.
Yeah.
But actually, I must say, I want to read to you because he asked some questions. He's saying like, yeah, you should, find your calling and good, something that makes sense to you and that gives you a lot of joy,
Hmm.
and that is like something that you win, but also your environment wins.
Hmm.
And if that is not the case, like, how can you find it? And he's asking some questions, very simple questions, but actually I took some time yesterday to sit down and think about them. And one was like, what is something that you're really good at? Then what is something that is easy for you to do? um, then what is a task that gets you so enthusiastic that you can't stop doing it?
Yeah.
And to more, where do you like to put like extra work, like engagieren in German, that it would be in English, like, I think
Oh, that sounds like a Flemish word.
that also
Yeah.
involves others, that you do some good maybe for others.
Wait, what? Can you say it again?
So the German question is, wo engagieren Sie sich gerne?
Engangieren.
Engagieren is
Ah, damn.
like get involved,
Yeah. Okay.
give your time and energy for a good cause maybe.
Okay.
And where do you feel that you are of use and people need you?
Right. Yeah. Those
Those
are a couple of
questions.
good questions, actually. Yeah.
And I like the question especially, um, what is easy for you?
Yes, because what might be easy for you is very hard for other people.
Yeah,
And actually, if you can do something that's easy to you but hard to someone else and create something around that, for example,
yeah.
yeah, you have something to offer.
And then I think if it overlaps with, it's also an activity that you cannot stop doing,
Yeah.
and
Then
and you are good at,
then you
then
found
boom. Yeah,
the golden ticket to something for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Hmm. All right, so
So you have more questions? Or
I
tell me
do.
something that's moving you at the moment.
What's moving me?
Yeah, what is like, maybe let's go to the negative part. Like, in general, I would like to know from you.
Is this something that you wrote down on your list, or is this just something?
Yeah, it is
Yeah, okay,
actually.
sure, yeah.
Why do you assume that I have a list?
I don't know, because I have a list.
But I actually do. Is there, like, I'm more wondering, is there a worry that you have in your life, like for your life? Not on a small scale, but like in a big scale.
Hmm. A worry, any kind of worry, but it has to be big scale.
Yeah, for your own life. Like not for the planet, not that an atomic bomb goes up and
Yeah.
kills all the
Hmm.
civilization.
A worry that I have. Um, hmm. Hmm. Well, so far I would say that I do not have immediately a huge worry. Otherwise, I would have already said it now. um, yeah, I am super practical sometimes on worries, and I'm just trying to focus so much on how to deal with them that I forget the worry. And then so much. Yeah, I don't have per se a major worry at the moment.
Can I suggest one and you say that's not a worry?
Please, yes.
So how about not finding the right girlfriend or partner and
Okay.
staying single all your life?
So I recently got together with someone. I don't know if we.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it the last time.
Yeah.
But what if she turns out to be like not the right one and then
Yeah. Well, I mean, so right now I would say, I mean, she is. I mean, and relationships like friendships, like any relationship, it grows right through time, and as long as I feel like we're both growing as individuals and as a couple together, I would say that she is still the right person to me. But at the moment when she or me would be going very different paths and we are not growing together or as individuals anymore, then I would tackle that problem then. But I'm not worrying about it now because it's not something now. So I'm saving myself from the anxiety of stressing about something that is not even happening now. But if it would happen, I would just take it on then and just talk with her.
yeah, but so you don't also in like in regards to partnership, you don't expect to be with one person to the end of your life. That is not
I don't
if you
think
do.
it's super realistic, to be honest. And not that I'm trying, I mean, if she's listening to it, not like I'm not hoping for that, right?
Yeah.
But life is just too unpredictable that I can say 100% yes to certain things in life. And people, individuals change, can dramatically change, or certain life events might happen. So I hope for it, but I do not expect certain things from life that I cannot expect from it like that.
Okay.
So does
Do
that make
you
sense?
worry? Yeah, it makes sense. Do you maybe worry that your business will stagnate at that point and that you never get over this level until you die?
What do you mean with stagnate?
Yeah, so I mean, like now it stays in the same place it is now. So now it's established, you can live from it, but you will not develop any further. It will not grow, will not get more attention, more money, more
I
reaching
think
more
that's
people.
I think that's super up to me. If I put time, effort, work in it to make something more from it, it's so in control. I think that if I want it to grow more, then it's totally up to me to make that happen. I
Okay,
think,
so you feel a high degree of self-efficacy, is it called like that? That you feel like that you have an impact on what, like on your surrounding.
yeah, yeah, of course.
Ah,
You
yeah,
have
that's
also an impact. I mean, you decide. I mean, how you behave to to the people around you. I think that's very much in your control. So you can have an impact, a positive or a negative one, by
I
your
agree, but I
decision.
think many people don't think so.
No, because it's more of a level of self awareness. I think.
But and it's a trait of healthy individuals.
Also, there's other layers to that, like that exactly. There's certain complex things or certain mental health problems that might make it more complicated. But I always think there's choice.
So you don't feel you're a victim to the circumstances.
Which circumstances?
Everything alive around you. No, but like that's just provocative. No, I know that you don't probably because otherwise you wouldn't have said that before.
I feel like I have a lot of control over over my decisions and over my life. Um, but then things from the outside, like other people, I don't have much control about, right? But it gives me peace of mind to know that at least I have control over who I am and my decisions. I actually
Mhm.
totally forgot your question, but
No,
so
no, yeah,
I'm not
that
sure
was
where to go right now with
it
this.
fits, it fit. And then on a global scale, like for the world, do you have worries regarding the world?
Also very little. I mean, not to say that I just don't think too much about it, and I think this is very frustrating sometimes for people who want to talk about this with me,
Oh,
because I
I
don't
didn't
have.
know that other people have asked that before.
Yeah, I mean, or but it's just, or worries like Corona and what it's gonna do with the world, for example. I'm just right now, what is happening now, and what can I do? I'm just I'm so focused on this because that's the only thing in the end that I can do is you know is things here. I cannot affect too like things will happen in the world whether I want it or not, and it's more about dealing it when it happens than about thinking about it, I
No,
feel.
I mean, you can, if you anticipate it, you can try to prevent it and do something before it happens.
That's true, of
You
course,
could
yes.
get active politically, for example.
Yes, or the environment, for example, you can already make conscious decisions or choices on impacting it less. Uh-huh.
I think there are some very valid concerns for climate change and
There are, of course.
political right movement.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. Uh, am I worried about certain things in the world? Uh, I always think this, to be honest, that life will always try to create balance. If something goes up, it will come down again, and if something goes down, it goes up again after a while. So in the long run, I'm never too worried that everything will be destroyed. And even if it would be, I think it will go up at some point again.
Mhm. It doesn't frustrate me to hear this is saying you that, because you said that people get frustrated if you don't have enough worries that you can present. But I was really just curious to know, and
Yeah, and I
I had
mean,
no
worries
idea.
like the environment, that's something that I can do already now. And that's what I do. Try to be very conscious about it and make individually decisions on trying to harm it as less as I
But
can.
isn't your behavior change always preceded by some kind of concern or worry? Like how do you get
Yeah,
from not worrying to changing
that's
your behavior?
that's just survival instincts, right? That you always will try to survive in your environment.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't worry. Like, I wouldn't consider myself a person who worries a lot. And I know I have some people around me who worry constantly about everything, and I
Yeah.
don't. But I recently watched the film of David Attenborough,
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Our Planet or something.
Uh-huh.
And in those moments, but I like that I worry because it's a motor
Yeah, it's a motivator.
of change. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
I do change things after watching that. Like, it has always has to reach a certain level to get me moving.
But there's
But
worrying
yeah,
to a healthy degree and over worrying where you're
yeah,
just losing control. And
yeah.
so
I'm
it's
not
not
lying
like
awake at night and can't sleep because of
right.
that.
So it's
No.
not like I do not have worries. I hope I don't mean I mean it's not like I'm a machine who cannot like of course I have worries, but I just immediately use those worries to do something with them as a motivator, like you said.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. But I think it's, yeah, like you
Mhm.
said, it's so you do have them, but you don't stay in the victim mode or
Yeah, I hate it because I've been in
in the
that
panic
for
mode.
yeah, because I feel like I've been in the victim mode for years when I was young. That I
Uh,
was, and I hated it because nothing changed. And
yeah.
I think actually that could be a huge factor why I am to the whole extreme side now.
I'm also reading another book.
I will teach you to be rich from. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, oh I know that book. Yes, yes.
Ramit Sethi. I just
Yep.
started,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just want to read what I read yesterday. I just read the first chapter,
Uh-huh.
and it just spoke so from my heart. Um, this is where the victim mindset comes in. So many people complain about politicians and sociological problems without looking around at their own behavior. They give up at the first sign of failure. If you want to be a passenger in life, fine, go with the flow. I found it's a lot more fun to be the captain of my own ship, even if I go off course sometimes. I would completely agree. And then the next sentence, as you can see, I don't have a lot of sympathy for people who complain about their situation in life but do nothing about it.
Yeah.
That's why I wrote this book.
Love it.
And I love it. I completely agree. I know it's not so nice to say this, and I feel I come off as arrogant sometimes, so I try to hold back with that often.
Yeah.
But
It
I'm
hurts.
so impatient and so angry at people who only complain, and I'm so uninterested. I'm so bored by
Same.
people who only complain.
Yeah.
And I just yesterday night talked to my boyfriend about it, and I read him this passage because I think with me it comes from my childhood when my grandmother, she was complaining and she was in victim mode, and I think it was a development inside myself for years. It's not that like from the first moment on I was annoyed. It was for years that I listened to her and tried to show empathy and sympathy, and and tried to that she feels that I'm there for her, I'm not judging her, I'm just there and listening. And then I would become a teenager and I would suggest things, and she would of course complain about my grandfather too, like, you promised me the kitchen but then he never delivers what he says, and blah blah blah. And even loving my grandfather like to bits and pieces, I was like, come on, then separate, you can get a divorce, you can live your own life if you're not happy with him. After like even more years realizing she doesn't want to change anything. And that
even
really
if she's miserable.
And I'm saying that like I have a big love for my grandmother too. She died already, but that left such a big imprint in me that I really have kind of zero tolerance. Anymore. For people
I
who
would
complain
say,
and don't want to change.
and I guess that zero tolerance came because so many years you tried to change someone who was always in a victim mode, but it didn't do anything, even though you put so much energy and effort in it.
Yeah. And of course she doesn't have to change because I suggest something, but I feel that, and I can understand with also, like we said before, I studied a little bit of psychology and understand why people maybe get something out of that role too, and she gets attention, and there's a reason, there's a system behind it why it works like this. She doesn't have to change. And that is also fine. She doesn't have to change, but not with my time.
And probably one of the biggest things in, if you would do therapy or something, is that you just can't change people if they don't want to change themselves.
Yes.
So, I mean, you could say the best words, you could say and do the best things for them that could completely impact their life for the positive. But if they don't want to change, then it's not going to impact them in any way at all.
But I somehow still, like, I know it with my brain, but with my heart, I'm still trying to offer them. Like, I have some people around me who I feel fit this category too. And I can't accept it. It makes me unhappy. So I give them books, I read them quotes, I give them movie suggestions, because I always feel like maybe just like, like slowly showing them.
Who knows, right? Who knows, maybe one of those days when they're really at a low point and they feel the motivation, they see your book and pick it up. And they might change. But so it's not like I'm saying don't do it anymore, because it comes out of a too good place in your heart to stop that. And I as well do that often, that I just try to put things or say things to people, even though they are not too motivated to actually want to change. But it's just too much in my nature and in your nature. So it's not like you should stop that, actually. But maybe to just know that
it makes me feel less helpless. Maybe also it's also more for me, probably for myself.
Exactly. Maybe just know that, okay, after some time and some point when you did so much that you did, and they still aren't willing to change, then it's not your fault.
That's true.
It's just they don't have the motivation. And so, but that's actually interesting to realize now too, that because I spent in the past so much years as a victim, or I felt
Yourself, right?
I
You
really
yourself
felt
were
like,
the-
yeah, and it was such, nothing changed. Nothing positive or nothing good came out of being in that victim mode or in that place, that I really hated being there, that I just turned the whole other way now of, I never want to be that again
Yeah.
because I hate it.
Do you also get kind of worried when you're not in a good mood? Because I don't know, I have that
Mm,
sometimes because I have that image of myself that I'm like, the one who makes things happen, who's positive, who's optimistic.
yeah.
And then when I have a low
Hmm.
and I'm like a little bit in the like, oh, things are so hard, then I cannot accept it about myself.
Because you think you lost it all of a sudden, or?
Yeah, because I hate those people.
Ah.
And I don't want to be that person, and that I'm worried that I lost it,
Mm,
and something's wrong, and then I get very active again trying to solve that problem. Is it sleep, did I drink enough, did I exercise enough, blah 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 blah, so I can feel in control again. And I
okay.
feel the good balance is reached when I can also allow myself to feel those periods in my life,
Yeah.
and have the general trust that they will be temporary, and
Yep.
it just, I cannot force it and control everything.
Yeah, I mean that's just the wave of life that you're kind of surfing on. It's not always gonna be a great wave. Sometimes it's gonna be, yeah, a less good one, but it's part of life. As long as you're more happy than unhappy, then it will return in
Yeah, but
general.
so do you like yourself, or can you accept yourself when you're like grumpy, in a bad mood, unenergetic?
Hmm. I mean, they are less fun days because you're feeling less good. So for sure, they are not the pleasant days, you know. And so with that, you also feel a bit less good about yourself. Um, but as long as it's not getting chronic, that it's like days and weeks and months, then even if on that day I feel a bit less good about myself, it should normally change the next day again, that I actually forget about it.
Okay.
But I try to, yeah, I try to just be very um observable, or I try to observe myself when I'm in those days and just see very rationally what's happening. And yeah, like, I know, but it's the rational part many times for me that actually helps me, because I get so emotional sometimes.
When
So
do you get emotional?
I mean, I that's why I naturally gravitate more to being very practical and very rational, because I very easily get affected by a word that someone says, or by something that I see or hear. I It impacts me tremendously. That
Okay.
also through the years I focused more on what actually helped me with dealing with those, that intense amount of emotions that I feel, and being practical and rational helps me. And so now, because I've done it so much, I feel like I wired my brain more to immediately get practical and rational when I get to a very emotional state.
But so is it negative for you to get to an emotional
Oh no,
state?
it's sorry, if it's negative.
Yeah.
No, it's not negative. It's just normal. It's a human thing to get emotions. So
But why
I
do
don't.
you wire yourself to get to the rational part
Oh,
immediately?
because
Why
it's too
can't you?
overwhelming sometimes. And so it's out of control instead of in
Okay.
control. And to make it in control, I have to balance it out by the other part, and that's rationality instead of emotional. And so it's just trying to balance myself out by seeing what is lacking. Does
Can
that
you?
make sense,
Yeah, that
guy?
makes sense. But I find it super interesting because I don't know that side of you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
And
guess not many people actually.
can you describe like a circumstance when that would happen, when you would have like intense emotions?
Yeah, sure. When someone says something negative about me, for example, or like even a tiny word or a tiny sentence that I immediately pick up, and it just becomes so overwhelming in me that I just could be not sleeping from it for days, just because of one tiny thing that someone said. And I guess many people have it to degrees, right? That someone said something unnice to them and that it bothers them. But I sometimes in the particularly in the past, right, not be able to sleep days from that because I kept thinking about such a thing, about
Okay.
one word that someone said to me. And that's where being rational and practical and just kind of being an observer and just thinking like, okay, people give what they have inside, or just trying to apply some of these philosophies or these words of wisdom. I can stabilize myself with that.
It's kind of also self-protection.
Yeah, and self-awareness also, in a way, right? That you are aware that that person and their opinion isn't the opinion of everyone on you. So trying to put things in perspective, but you need to be able to observe and be self-aware to do that.
Do you only have that with negative emotions, or also do you have overwhelming positive emotions where you quickly go to the rational part?
No, I only have that with negative emotions. With happy emotions, that's for me to enjoy. I don't feel per se. Although I could have, for example, um, well, in general, I would say with positive emotions, when they come, they are there, and I just enjoy them. With negative ones, I try to do something with them because else they get out of control.
Uh-huh. What's so bad about out of control?
Because it destroys me. Like it already did that in the past. That it got me to a too dark place. That I uh um yeah, that it got too out of control.
So ultimately, there's a part in you that you don't really trust yet, like that you feel that you have to keep in balance or keep in check. Otherwise, it can take over and destroy you.
It would be less able to do that today than some years ago because I have a better sense of myself and who I am and general wisdom through the years, that it's less likely gonna get to that same place like it did in the past. So it's not like I fear when I feel something negative, that I fear for my life or something. It's not like that. It's just, yeah.
Mm.
So no, it's not that dramatic or something today.
I find it interesting because for me, control is also a big topic in my life, and I think I love to have things under control and control, yeah, my
Yes.
environment. And I've been told by some people that I should, let go, let flow, blah blah blah. And he in his book also describes this state of flow,
Mm-hmm.
and of there's different words depending on whom you ask that are used, sometimes it's called differently.
Yeah.
And then he has some quotes of basketball players, of musicians, of
Mm.
actors who got into that state, and that they describe how they felt and what happened to them, and all of them kind of described that they were not in control anymore, but just the medium through which, I
Yeah.
don't know, it's spiritual now, but like through which something bigger acted.
Mm.
And they were just part of, and it was no competition, nothing where what they wanted to reach,
Yep.
no, how's it called? No aspiration, kind of, but just like letting go and, yeah, being in the moment and playing and being a
Mm-hmm.
lightweight. And I found it interesting because he particularly stresses that it means not being in control in that moment. But maybe it's a different area.
Yeah, so that's also called the flow state, right?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
But I think before you can get to that state, because the flow state, how do you get into it again? It's when you feel like you know exactly what you're doing, but feel a degree of challenge. And it's sort of like the middle of that you enter a state of being challenged, but you exactly know how to handle it.
I think the question of are you in control, are you not in control, is not even a worry anymore. You don't have worries in that
No,
moment.
you're in a different zone. You're in a
Yeah,
flow
yeah,
state,
you're
right?
in the zone. That's
Where,
also how it's called sometimes.
yeah, exactly. It's called, yeah, that's true.
Do you have that sometimes?
Yeah, I've had that in particular that I can remember now with mountains actually, with
Ah,
climbing mountains, or with riding. I've had that too when I was riding things. But with mountains, I can remember very strongly, more easily, I would say, because it's such an intense experience. Because you are kind of hanging somewhere very easily. If you make mistakes or a mistake, it's quite deadly.
yeah.
So, but when I whenever I climb a mountain and it gets very challenging, but I know exactly what I'm doing, then I enter this state of flow. Then I'm completely in a different zone, and everything kind of just works. It's a very weird zone to actually describe because but it's kind of like you're not leaving your body or something, but leaving maybe your head. And you're just doing.
Uh-huh.
And I guess with writing, I've had that a few times too, where it was just coming out, everything, the words, and then when you look back at it, you're like, oh wow, that's pretty good. Um, yeah, so I've had it. Yeah, have you had it? Maybe with photography or
Yeah,
yeah,
I do. And I think it's for me is that's why I don't need drugs. It's the most powerful drug
yeah,
I experience. I want to experience it again and again, and he also says you cannot push it.
yeah,
You
it's true.
cannot plan for it, but I think you can make the circumstances more and more right that it's more likely to happen. And I had it many times with photography, and I talked to some colleagues who have never had it, and I feel so sorry for them because it's for me it's the most amazing feeling.
Never had it, but maybe because they were not aware that they were having it, or maybe they never had it. That could be too. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, they said they never had it, but
mhm.
and then yeah, and so I feel in that regard I feel super grateful and blessed that I have it so often
That's awesome. I mean,
when
yeah, if
I
you can,
photograph. I feel that like already before I knew about this concept of flow, I felt it, but I
mhm.
didn't have words for it.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what it was that was happening, but I just felt that everything in the universe was at its right place. That's how I felt. And I were not, no, I said that I never worried so much, but it was like, I was so much in my mind
Uh-huh.
usually, or I am.
Yeah.
And in those moments, like you said, the mind is off. I'm so present in the moment.
Yeah.
Everything is there and everything feels light and joyful and flowing and together like a dance or like a play,
Mm,
like in a bubble underwater and a special, I don't know, protected
yeah.
sphere.
For someone who's often in his or her head, it's an amazing state to feel, right?
Yes.
Not to say, I mean, if you're a lot of times not in your head or less, that it isn't amazing then too, but it is. And like you said, it's actually a kind of drug
Mm.
that you don't need to take drugs for. Actually, if you want to read more, and I've not read the book, but I've heard so many people recommend it. It's a book about flow
Mhm.
states, and the book is called Flow. I think it's literally called like that.
Yeah.
But it goes about that subject,
Okay. Why
and
not?
yeah, and it's a highly. I mean, if I'm not getting the name of the book correct right now, though, but it's a highly rated and recommended book. Let me just quickly check if it's called Flow. I think it is though.
That's, I think, why it's so amazing that my life took a turn and I became a photographer because it's good for me. I think it's healthy for me to counterbalance my being in my head and being super intellectual and thinking things through
Mm,
with this other side that's more body and I don't know, heart
yeah,
and
yeah. The book is called Flow.
okay.
Um,
By
yeah.
who?
Oh, by by who?
Because I guess there's more than one book called Flow. Like there's more than one book called Awareness. I recently bought it from Anthony de Mello.
Ah, did you read it?
No, I bought the audiobook and I haven't yet started listening to it because I'm still listening to Sapiens by Harari.
Aha. Okay, so the book is called Flow, the Psychology of Optimal Experience. Harper. I'm gonna mess up the name. Harper Perennial. Ah, that's the publisher, I guess. Uh, okay, but if you check Flow, it has on Amazon 1,800 ratings.
Okay,
So
just the highest rated book.
exactly.
All right.
Mihaly, and then a last name that I will not try to pronounce. But that's the author.
Oh, that's true. Wait, I know it.
You know it.
No, because it's
Rick.
it's kind of the inventor, right? He doesn't recommend the book, but he's
The
yeah,
inventor.
it's like it's a name that has a C in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. Just really.
I really I read that name.
Imagine interviewing him and trying to oh my god.
I read that name this morning, and I also thought like
Sijisk Sentimali. Where is he from?
I was wondering if Tim Ferriss has like him on the podcast and then tries to pronounce the name.
There is a totally different thing, but there's like the volcanoes in Iceland. They have crazy difficult names. And some years ago, when they were erupting on the news, presenters were trying to say the volcano's name, and everyone was messing it up. Everyone. It was a YouTube. Oh wow! I thought he was like from an. He just seems like he's an Hungarian American psychologist.
Oh, okay.
So that's cool. All right. So
Yella, should we have a super quick bathroom break?
let's do that. All right.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So, or do you need to, I don't know, fill your glass up or something?
I think I'm fine.
Yep. So, do you want to still say something more about the topic that you brought up, or do you want to move to another topic?
Let's move to another topic.
All right. So, out of my list, I had something else here for you. So, yeah, let me ask this. Also has to do actually with photography. So what I wrote down is actually how to connect with people who you don't know and make them feel comfortable. So you take a lot of fashion and portrait photography, right? A lot of times, or I assume mostly, it's people that you don't know. And I'm just curious, like, how do you, because you have to make them feel, feel comfortable to take a good photo from them. Like how
you mean the model, right? Or
the model,
person
exactly.
in front of my camera.
Yeah. How do you communicate with them? How do you make them feel comfortable and safe? Because I could imagine that skill that you use there, you could also use just in daily life, maybe. So I was just curious to see, like, do you do something in particular that you know that you do that helps them feel safe and comfortable, or is this just like a natural talent?
I like the question.
Yeah, bring it on.
I think it's a mixture.
A mixture of talent.
I do have a genuine interest in the person in front of me.
That could already be a tip, actually.
Yeah, but I don't know if you're not interested in the person, or what do you do?
You can show interest in someone. That's something that you can actually.
No, but I mean not show interest, but like really have interest.
Yeah. Okay.
So that I'm just saying that I think that helps me, that I really am interested in the person in front of me.
Sure.
And when I'm not only saying for the photographic situation, because in general I think I can be very judgmental and arrogant. But when
let's leave that aside. Let's talk exactly about when you take photos of
because
someone.
When I take photos, it's not that I'm hiding my judgment. I just don't have judgment in the moment. It's so interesting. I really fall in love with the person in front of my camera every time when I find them beautiful. I see their beauty, like unique beauty. Yeah. So that helps me as a basis, I think, because that is genuine and it transmits. And then, of course, if a person feels seen and feels that someone is interested in them and thinks that they don't judge and that they like you and think that you're beautiful, that's a good foundation to open up.
Yep.
Then I always make sure that the circumstances are that I have enough time to have a connecting talk before. I more and more I'm getting sure of the role that I want to play or what kind of photography I want to take, and I refuse jobs where it's like, oh, I only need like quick pictures, just 5 minutes. I tell them I'm not the right photographer. I can understand that you need them, but I can recommend someone, but I need time and I need space, because I want that we build trust and and find and play and get into a mode of playing.
Yeah.
Then I think I am also, the more I have experienced, the better I can tell them in the beginning what it's going to be like, and that it gives them security. So I start with saying, we both don't know each other, so we will probably be very insecure in the beginning. But that is normal, you know? The first 15 minutes, we will be like, okay, what? Oh, shy. But then let me assure you from my experience, then it will start to become fun. And then in the end, we cannot stop. And I think that helps people too.
Definitely.
Because then if they feel insecure in the beginning, they know it's super normal. And I'm not thinking, oh, everyone else has performed perfectly. Why are you so insecure?
Yeah.
And then I think I try to be a little bit like goofy and weird and also share my...
Playful?
No, I mean like more show my vulnerabilities.
Okay.
Like make me less perfect.
Yep.
So maybe they can relate.
Do you consciously do that, or is that something that just naturally happens as well?
Yeah, it's another topic that I would be interested, maybe not today, but to talk to you about, because I feel I've been thinking about how do people connect, right? And because connection is a human need. And then there are strategies how to connect with people. And I don't think it's just like magic that happens or doesn't happen. I think you can influence it. Definitely. And I feel that sometimes I'm a little bit limited in my strategies, or my one go-to strategy is to show myself, to open up and show a lot of vulnerabilities. Mm-hmm. And it works really well. I'm quite successful with that strategy. But also it would be nice to have a broader range of strategies, and maybe it's not good or nice to always tell everyone in the beginning where I suck, where I'm really bad. Why, you know? Yeah. I feel that, I don't have that much of a range in that regard. So I also use that in photography, and it works. I know it works. I just would like other strategies.
Got it. Yeah. Actually, that is another maybe a last thing, something that you were touching upon like communication. That was actually another topic that I wanted to ask, but I'll ask that in a few more minutes. But so first, let's stick to this for a few more minutes then. So, okay.
And I think it also helps to tell them, I also always tell them that, it's that even models, like for example, there's some things that repeat. They don't know where to put their hands when it's a normal person I'm taking a portrait of. Mm-hmm. And I tell them that's super normal. That's also, models have that problem. It's one of the hardest things in a picture, how to position your hands, because all of a sudden you're conscious about it. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I think another thing that helps is that I'm giving honest feedback. And there again, it's very interesting, because usually I think everything through when I'm communicating and before I say something. Mm-hmm. But in that moment, I just trust that good things come out, and I'm honestly giving feedback saying like, no, that doesn't work. Yep. Or do more like this. Or no, I think we are not getting there. Like, come and look at the monitor and I can show you what I mean. Yep. And no, you look like a insecure child on this picture, but this one I love. You know, just to be, not to be, because I don't want to be fake and say like, oh, you look wonderful, everything is beautiful.
Yeah, you don't give direction with that, right? When you say it's always great,
Yeah.
because then they're not sure, like, really, does everything look great what I do? So it helps actually to be very clear, like, yeah, that looks good, that doesn't look good, because it gives structure to them and clarity of, okay, this works, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I think like, I don't know, maybe I'm not saying that this is the right way to do it, but I know that I'm also maybe I might offend people sometimes, I think, because when they look like super funny, like weird, then I
Mhm.
start laughing about them,
Okay.
but kind of try to get them on board and laugh with them.
Mm.
I'm, you know, it's, they are vulnerable and I'm not denying it.
Yeah.
And then what helps too is that, like I said, I fall in love with the person in front of the camera and I get enthusiastic. This is one of the questions that he asked in the book, where you get so enthusiastic that you cannot stop.
Yeah.
It's when I photograph. And then this transmits back to the person. I think they also get enthusiastic.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, if they feel like you're enthusiastic, that's a word that I can't pronounce, then and it's real, then
Yeah.
people feel that.
And it's like, isn't it like the coolest thing? Because it's, yeah, like we are playing and it's teamwork. It's not that
Yeah.
someone is sitting there and I'm doing the magic. No, no, no. We are together. We are
Mm.
as a team, and then we come up with ideas that I haven't thought of before and that I couldn't do my own.
Yeah. I
And
can
that makes both of them feel good.
I can very much imagine that you are actually a good photographer. That you do this really well in community, or you making them feel safe and comfortable. So how would you translate, if you would, and if you do, would you like, do you translate any of those ways of making people safe and comfortable? Do you also use any of those things in just in life when you talk to people, or not at all?
Like I said, to connect with people, I use quite a lot to tell like stupid things about myself. And then I feel that other people also open up more.
Yep.
Um, but it's interesting because I think a lot in life is also about the mandate or role that you play. And I feel shy to take up a lot of space if I'm not given the mandate.
Mm.
So I like that in photography. I can go up on a ladder and direct 100 people around me and give orders and be silly and funny and everything, and make like a group of, I don't know, if I take event photography, make a group of 100 people laugh, but I cannot do that when I'm not given that role.
Hmm.
And I hate it when everyone looks at me. I feel super shy, like in general,
Yeah.
because I also feel like I'm inadequate and who am I? And, I don't have enough to say. But again, like when I have that role, for example, 3 times in my life, I think I walked in a fashion show
Mm-hmm.
and I loved it because I'm giving the mandate. I've been given the mandate. So I'm allowed to shine. I'm
Mm.
allowed to take all the space and all the views, and then I can fill that role. But I wouldn't dare give it to myself.
Hold on 1 second. You were in a fashion show?
Yeah, as a model, like
Oh,
walking.
wow. Didn't know.
That was fun.
That
That
was
was
fun.
fun.
You did that 3 times
Yeah, in Argentina and 2 times in Germany.
in Argentina. Oh yeah, you speak pretty good Spanish, or fluent, right?
Yeah, but you don't have to speak when you're on the runway.
No, I guess, but I'm just linking this now because on your website, parts. I mean, there were also sections that were in Spanish, right?
Yeah, I've lived there for 3 years in Buenos
All right,
Aires.
so that makes sense actually now. Got it. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So that
guess you
was
would
so
have to talk.
interesting, because uh, I mean, if you don't like to be in the spotlight, then you would assume that someone doesn't like to walk on a catwalk where it's like everyone watching you.
Yeah, but it does have to do, like you said, with picking up a role, and in that role that you picked up, it's part of it, of being in the spotlight.
I also kind of feel that I wouldn't be the worst leader. Like I can imagine myself leading like a couple of people or a company, or I don't know.
Whole Germany.
The whole of Germany, right? Yeah. I heard Trump's seat is free now.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not put my name on the list. And that's
Okay, I got it. You would not put your name on the list, but if someone would, you would be a good leader?
If someone said like no one else can do it or wants to do it, Asja, we're in an emergency, you have to do it now, this is the only way, then I would be like, okay, I have to do it, and then I think I would do it well.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't like to push other people aside to be able to get to that position.
Okay. I get that. Yeah. You would do what is needed. If no one else would be wanting to do it.
Yeah, it's like two separate things, right? One is like, would you fill the role well? Would you do the job well once you are there? And I think yes.
Yep.
But then like how to get there.
Okay. How to get there?
How to get there. Someone else should give me the mandate. I'm not
you would not naturally give
strong
it to
enough
yourself.
or able enough to claim space for me.
Oh.
I want it to be given to me.
Okay.
But of course, I've read that that's also a little typical women-men topic that, and if you want to succeed in life, I think you cannot wait that someone gives you the spotlight or the stage or
that's
space.
True.
You have to take it.
Yeah, you don't have to take it per se by destroying everything in your way, right? I mean, that's one way to take something for sure.
Yeah.
But you can also, take something by being the best at it, right? That you
But
naturally...
then someone says like, oh my God, you're so good, you have to write a book, or you should be the next president of our company.
Yeah.
I think it's a difference to that happening, that you shine so brightly that people cannot ignore you anymore, than you saying, I'm not shining yet, but I should have that position.
Well, that's something very different, yes. I mean, you do have to work and show that you are capable and that you deserve such a role or such a position, right? You shouldn't just demand it even if you didn't do anything to deserve it.
But I would think that, or would say that there's a lot of people who do that.
Oh yeah, I would say that too.
Who just prefer power.
Yeah, or recognition,
Yeah.
Power sure is one thing, but I think recognition is another one.
Yeah, definitely. Different motivations to go there.
Yeah.
And then also maybe thinking that they honestly serve people by being in that position. I don't think that people only do it because they don't care about the rest and think then I get rich and I have a lot of prestige. I think also politicians from both parties or from every party are not evil people. They think that they are doing something good for the people, just that I don't sometimes agree with what is good for the people, what they think.
Yeah, sure. No, of course. And definitely, yeah. But then you just see how they're trying to get to that position. I think if they're trying to destroy everyone around them, then I don't think their motives are very good. But if they're trying to get to it by actually showing that they have expertise and know what they're doing and that they generally want to make things better, and try to get to that position such a way.
But I still think that even a dictator is not thinking, ha ha ha, I'm so powerful, no one can take it away from me, so now I can live my perfect life and I don't care about the people. I think even dictators think it's best for everyone if I'm in power because I know better than the rest. And then ultimately they will thank me.
Yeah. Well, that's another personality that you might be talking about there. Someone who's a bit narcissistic could think very easily that they're the best and know everything, even without actually touching upon the feedback from others to see if it's true or not.
Yeah, because everyone else is less than them and inadequate, so they don't have anyone on their level who can really give valuable feedback. Like, I would listen to someone if they were like competent.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, if they were competent and knew what they were talking about.
Yeah. And as they are not. better if I stay here and do daddy looks after things.
Yeah, but it's also good about even listening to people who might not be competent, but they also have a thought, an opinion, and feelings, and to listen to the general feedback of the collective.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But I'm just saying that I don't believe that those people are generally evil
Uh-huh.
and just do it like consciously only to their own benefit. I
Okay.
think that they at least deceive themselves thinking that they maybe it's also good for them, but that they are also doing it to
Oh, I see.
be
Yeah,
of
even
service to the people.
got it. Got it. Yeah.
I don't think that, at least, or maybe I'm ingenuine, and maybe I'm naive, but I just don't believe that there's any person in power thinking like, seriously, I don't care about anyone, just about myself. I think they also kind of tell themselves, I am good for everyone else.
Yes. I mean, to a degree, I would say so too. But they might be a little bit delusional on what is
Totally,
good. But
totally.
like you said, I don't think they're all completely evil, and they might have the right motives in their mind what could be the best for people, even if it might not be the best.
It's like,
Uh,
haha, I'm so evil, but people don't notice.
exactly. Yeah. Um, all right. Let's switch topics to something different. To something. If you have something more on your list, let's switch to that. And then after that, let me share one more, and then I guess we can round things up.
All right.
Not like to rush things or so, but
Sounds like a good plan. Well, I'm a little bit embarrassed that everything that you have on your list is a question to me, and most of the things I have on my list is like things that move me in this moment, and then
it doesn't matter.
I have a few questions to you.
Don't worry. It's just how they kind of came to me for this conversation, but it's however whatever you wanted to talk about. So
Well, let me think. What do you prefer? A question to you or a topic that's moving me at the moment?
what do you feel more in the mood to talk about?
So maybe I can combine one thing.
Go for it. Yes.
No, no, no. Okay, no, no. I changed my mind. So I'm struggling with. I told you, I think, in the last talk that I had taken up meditation in. I think nearly a year ago,
Hmm.
a little less,
Yep.
and it was going well, and I was committed, but I've been more loose ultimately because I kind of don't see.
The point of it.
And yeah, the point of it, I don't really know why I'm doing it anymore, or like I don't gain anything. I haven't really found a good method for me yet.
Yep.
So I would love to know, like, how do you see meditation? Do you do it? How do you handle it? Uh, is it good for you? Um, what do you use it for?
Yep. I used to do it frequently, meditation. Just, I mean, nothing intense. Just like with Headspace, 10 minutes every morning. That's kind of it. But I would say for the most part, I haven't done it than I have. So right now, since I don't know, it's been a while since I actually did it. And mainly because I just don't feel. I feel like there are other things that I can do that benefit me more, like working out, for example, or like sporting, moving. That does so much more for me than sitting down and meditating. I feel less benefits with that than with the working out. So I rather spend some more time on something that feels better for me personally
Hmm.
than on something that is quite popular at the moment and that a lot of
Yeah.
people recommend. Yeah, not to say that, I mean, meditation is amazing. It really is effective for a lot of people, but just at the moment in this time where I am right now in my life, I don't feel the need too much to meditate. I don't feel like I feel more to move. I feel like I get more benefits from that. So that's where I stand with meditation.
Mm. Yeah, because I feel meditation is maybe good for people who are like busy executives who rush all day long and really don't ever have a minute to themselves to really breathe and sit down and just calm down. But I don't know how it's with you, but I feel I have that in my day, so I'm not lacking that.
Me too. And meditation can be, I mean, it has so many forms. It doesn't always mean just to sit down, you know. It
Mm.
also could be being very mindful when you walk, for example, when you move for a few minutes to sort of meditate in that state of movement. Or maybe it's more than mindfulness and meditation. I don't know. But it also gives clarity and relaxation and peace when you're just moving and you're mindful. So yeah, I do a lot of walks throughout the day. Whenever I work, I always work with like a Pomodoro technique, like for a set amount of times or minutes, and then every time the timer goes off, I go for a little short walk.
Oh,
um,
really? Oh,
and I
wow.
try to just go on a very mindful walk where I'm just the only thing that I do is just walk. I don't in the past I used to listen to maybe a podcast or did something else, but now I'm just gonna go for a 5-10 minute walk and that's it. But just walking, that's all, and then I return back work, and I repeat that throughout the day actually.
How long is the Pomodoro slice?
Right now, I mean, it can change. I've used like for the last few years, I always did like 45 minutes, but now I've adjusted it to 35 minutes.
Mhm.
It just at the moment feels better for me. So now it's 35 minutes and then a 10 minutes walk, then another 35 minutes, and then I take a bit of a longer break. So every two sets, I take a longer break of
Mhm.
half an hour or something to eat something or just relax a bit.
Do you check your phone in the break?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. But
Yeah.
when I actually do work, I literally remove my phone from my work area. I put it in another room or I put it in my bag on flight mode. Because yeah, it's too distracting.
Mm.
But yes, in a break, I'm allowed to do whatever actually, so I can look on my phone. I don't want to put restrictions on everything, and with
Mhm.
a break, yeah, that's a restriction-free moment, kind of.
I know that's what people like everyone says, like don't let the phone be the last thing you look at night and don't make it the first thing in the morning that you're like opening one eye and then looking at your phone.
Mhm.
And I know that, but so no, but so far like I'm still doing it and I don't see the reason not to do it. Like a little bit
Because
in
it
a
helps you to wake up and it helps you to fall asleep. Yes or no?
no, it doesn't help me to fall asleep, but I feel like I don't see any negative consequence or I
Mhm.
would maybe I
Okay.
would have to leave it for a while to see if I feel better or anything.
Ah.
But
Hmm.
in the morning, I feel like I'm not really there, so it's quite effective to use that time to scroll through Instagram and not use my most productive moments for Instagram because I want to keep up. And so
Hmm.
it's good to use that time. And also, I read the first emails, and I feel then I'm already a little bit informed before I get to work.
I think generally why it would be better to not do that is because you get a high stimulus uh, from the right when you wake up. You know, the bright screen, emails, so that could equal to stress. Your body doesn't even have any minutes or time to slowly sort of wake up. And so it helps very effective. It helps to immediately get sort of awake or faster, but maybe it is less healthy because it's too fast for your body. I actually do not know
Maybe,
too
yeah,
much,
but
but
I haven't noticed any negative effect so far.
right. But then also because you have not tried an amount of months to not do that,
That's
so you
true.
cannot compare actually the effects because you do not have anything to compare it to,
I
and
think
so
recent, yeah,
the
sorry.
same actually, yeah, sorry to go on, but the same actually when you actually said that you've been having mm, more bad dreams, or because that could also maybe come from the phone or from that amount of content that you're consuming on that, it affects your brain. So why not would it affect your your
Maybe, yeah.
dreams. But it's just also like, a blue screen. Even if you have like a filter on it to take the blue light away, it's still exposure to light that doesn't help for you to fall asleep with.
Last night I woke up at 4, I think, and I was awake until 5 in the morning, so one hour.
Yep.
And I tried for the first time. I took 3 drops of CBD oil.
Yeah, okay.
Just but I didn't notice any effect. I mean, I think without it, I would have fallen asleep after 1 hour anyways.
Yep.
Do you have any experience with it?
I have not, but I know people who tried it, and I've read about it as well. I've read a lot of positive things actually about it, and also from people who I know who tried it. They were pretty positive about it. So, but personally, I cannot. I have no experience with it.
Yeah, me neither. Like, was the first time this night, and
yeah,
I'm curious.
So, CBD, for everyone listening, is actually cannabis oil.
Yeah, but without the component that makes you hallucinate or high or anything.
The effect that you have is just the effect of relaxation without the by effect of actually getting high. So that's why to fall asleep, for example, or when you're a lot of times very stressful or anxious, it could help.
Just to sum up the meditation part,
I like
the Naval Ravikant. He, on the podcast with Tim Ferriss, he talks about his practice of sitting for 1 hour, just sitting still. And I think, as far as understood, he has been doing it for the past 2 years, and he has missed only 12 days so far, more or less. And he just sits still for 1 hour, and he's not even, I think, calling it meditation, because then there is no expectation of be like breathing right or not thinking. It's just sitting still for 1 hour. And he said, unfortunately, it's not possible to do it less than an hour, because you need 30 to 40 minutes to really, really let go and sit and get into a different state.
Yep.
And it sounded super interesting. So it's on my wish list to try in the future.
Yeah, I agree. It sounds very interesting to try that. And I love that he removes the label of meditation of it, because then there's an expectancy on it. So it's just about, sitting there, and whatever happens, or at least how he describes what he does, is just, if you think, you think. If you don't think, you don't think. If you're stressed, you just are stressed for that hour. It's just whatever happens, but it's just 1 hour where you just sit with yourself, and that's it.
Yeah. Sounds fascinating.
Yeah. So, but how is your, because you said that it's not been working, or that you are not feeling the benefits of it too much, of meditation.
I questioned why I was doing it in the first place. And if I try to remember, I think it was because I kind of feel this fog in my head a lot, that I feel like I'm not really focusing clearly, and I wish that to be bettered by meditation. Maybe that, and being more in the present moment also.
Because meditation is an effective way to accomplish that, but maybe you're missing something else. Maybe moving, like your body, doing the exact opposite actually of sitting still, could be what you need.
Yeah,
because that's also something, that we are doing way too less. We are sitting still, like, just without thoughts, meditating. That's something that we do way too less as well. But the moving part, that's something that we also do way too less in life.
Yeah, and actually sitting down with thoughts is also something that I wish for more. I did it more when I was younger. I feel that I was just like sitting and thinking. And for me, it's nothing negative, because I know many people say like, oh, I have so many thoughts and that keep me worrying and I can't sleep. But for me, it's not negative at all. Even if I think at night, I like it, because there's something I have to like. There's a reason.
Yeah.
And then I find a solution. And I feel that this capacity to do deep thinking is going down. Is also what Cal Newport says in his book, right? I think it's called Deep Work. We talked about it last time. Yep. And I noticed that. I wish for that more. I really would like to sit down more without distraction and think about things really deeply. And maybe instead of meditating, I should really sit down 1 hour and just
Yeah.
think. That would make me happy, I think.
And exactly, do that what Naval does. And if you think that hour, then you just do that.
Yeah.
Maybe one other day you would not think, you know, whatever happens, then
Yeah.
maybe try to experiment with that
Yeah.
instead of meditation, because it is really popular at the moment. And it's almost like when you do not meditate, you're not
Yeah.
cool, or I mean cool, or you're doing it not correct. You're not living correctly or something, or especially maybe like in Bali, for example, where everyone seems to do it. I feel like there's more of a pressure almost in a way that when you do not meditate or don't do yoga or something. But
Yeah. True.
it's not about following what everyone does. It's
Yeah.
kind of experimenting and staying or doing something that at that moment is working for you, I think.
I've been trying the app Waking Up since December last year.
From what's his name? The Waking Up app,
Sam
right?
Harris.
Sam Harris, yes. Exactly.
Yeah. And I like the first 50 days to get me on board and to train a little bit. But I have to admit that it's annoying me so much. Like I like the format of doing it every morning, 10 minutes. That is the perfect amount of time that I can do in the mornings. But somehow he has this idea that you should, in a finger snap, in a moment, you should disconnect from yourself and look at the one who's looking, and then realize that there is no one looking, that it's like an illusion, that you have like this core, this personality that's looking out into the world, but that basically I think there's nothing, and we are all just, everything is universe and the same material.
Yep.
Or I don't know. And I understand it intellectually, but it doesn't work for me. But he seems like he's a teacher who has just one methodology or one pedagogic concept to bring it to his students. And for me, it's like, if you're a good teacher, if it doesn't work with your students, then you try a different way. But he's just insisting and coming up with it again. And I feel so much rage inside me when I hear him say that another time.
But look, then he's not the right teacher for you.
Yeah, so I recently put a meditation bell, and I just put the timer on 10 minutes, and I started to do it 2 times already, like only so far, but it works better. So I just sit still, like Naval says, and then just 10 minutes for now.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe if you have not tried Headspace, have you tried it?
No, I haven't tried it.
Then I would honestly, I mean, I've tried some of the apps out there on meditation.
Okay.
And from all of them, I am a huge fan of Headspace because
I tried Calm and I didn't like it.
Yeah, same. But it's just you can, and I think this might be very nice for you. Is that you, and it's for me as well, right? But you can pick what you kind of want to meditate on, like what you want to focus on. So there's there's little categories, like you can meditate like a 30-day session on happiness, on sadness. When you're pregnant, there's one. When you're stressed, or when you want to get more focus, there's one. Like there's all these all these sessions that you can join, or that you can take for like 30 days. I think each one is. But each one of them has like a different focus, and maybe it can resonate, or that you can pick one that resonates more for you on that month or on this day, right?
Okay, thanks. Yeah, good.
I just found it very
good idea.
Yeah, I like it. I really like it.
I will give it a try. Calm has the same thing. It's about gratitude or anxiety or sleep or something. But somehow I didn't like the voice. I didn't like, it was for me like too superficial and commercial, or I don't know, like something was not really right. But I will give Headspace a try.
Yeah, just give it a try. I think they also have a, I don't know, they have a trial, like an intro trial for some days. They also have like some fun animations to explain concepts, so I like that.
Cool.
But it's just, it gives a lot of options.
So
yeah, so let's see. I don't know how, like, I feel I should keep the last one that I have for a next time. I don't know how you feel. We've been talking now for almost 2 hours and 30 minutes, so maybe it could be good.
What?
Yes.
No, 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Well, all right, we're getting to the 30 minutes, but yeah, I think this could be maybe personally, I think, right? I don't know if you still feel like you have some energy, but maybe I could keep this for next time. The next question.
I have, for energy wise, I'm still there, but I also feel it's like good to not have a podcast that's too long.
Yeah. Okay.
So I love to have a next time with you,
Yes,
maybe in
yes.
6 months or something.
Maybe in 6 months, yeah.
So we can, because I calculated today, we had the last one in May and now it's November. So that's 6 months. So
Oh,
it's
was it?
nice to have like see
Wow.
how we develop in our
Has it been
thinking.
6 months? Yeah. Okay, damn, that's fast.
Yeah, and it's so like a pandemic.
Wow.
But can you say the topic? I'm just so
I just wanted to
curious.
do that. All right. So this is a teaser for you and for everyone listening then. For in 6 months, this is to come between us two. So this question is there are certain skills in life that are almost like superpowers. And funny enough, Naval was also talking about this in the interview with Tim Ferriss. But there are certain skills that are almost like superpowers when you get even a little bit better at them. And I'm currently creating a course for the IBS Academy about learning how to learn. Probably put another name on that, but
There's also Josh Waitzkin, right?
yeah, I mean, he's probably a good example of someone who mastered the skill of learning. Yeah, but yeah, I damn, I'm gonna explain otherwise way too much. But basically, basically, it is a question. It's a sort of two-part question where I wanted to kind of talk with you and see if you would have some other ones to add to the list of skills that are like superpowers, and then also to go through that list because I have a list here of what I consider as superpowers, skills that are superpowers. So to go through
Interesting.
that list,
Oh my
add
God, I can't wait for 6 months to pass.
and then add to each skill something that you do or that how you improve it, and I will add something too on that. And then if you add or if you have any other skills that you think of to add to that list of superpowers.
But in 6 months, it will be too late for you.
What do you mean it will be too late for me?
I mean, because then you will have designed your course probably already.
Yeah, and it actually has nothing to do with my course. I just mean
Okay.
like learning how to learn. That's what I would consider a
Okay.
skill that is like a superpower.
Okay.
Communication, for example, is also a skill that I would consider a superpower if you get really good at it.
Okay.
And one that Naval actually said that I also thought was one is calmness. It's a real, if you can develop the skill of being calm in stressful moments, that's
Yeah.
a huge superpower. And another one that I actually just added before we started was fun. You know, I think that's if you can get better at the skill of having more fun in life, that's a true superpower. I think.
Yeah.
And there's a few more, but those I am gonna leave them for in a few months.
All right. I
So that's a
like it.
teaser, something to think about, and we can chew next time on that. So before I'm gonna say goodbye, is there anything that for anyone listening, is there anything that you want to direct people to? Anything that you're excited about that you want to share? Yeah, or any last words that you want to throw out in the world?
I think for the German people,
The
recently
Germans.
I recently joined an association called Citizen Circle,
Yeah.
and it's location independent
You
entrepreneurs,
told me.
or at
Mhm.
least aspiring to be location independent entrepreneurs. And we've been talking in May about my deep wish to find my tribe, to find people who like understand me or where I feel connected.
Mhm.
And that is my attempt. So I joined them 2 weeks ago. And so far it's been super interesting. And I've been already meeting people online, but even going in Hamburg for walks. And it's in the whole of Germany and Switzerland and Austria.
Yeah.
So it's German speaking.
So it is only German speaking.
Yeah, it's only German speaking. I'm wondering, I mean, I guess all of them speak English. So if someone living in Germany
Right.
wants
Mhm.
to join, that wouldn't be a problem at all. and some of them live in Thailand or South Africa. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Naturally, as they are location independent. So I just recommend other people maybe to check that out too. Also in my own interest, because I want more cool people to join.
Yeah. How is it called again?
Citizen Circle.
Citizenscircle.com or?
Let me just check that quickly.
I mean, maybe if you just type that in, you will go to it. Okay.
Cool. .de.
.de. All right. So there we go.
DE is the German ending.
Yep. So maybe to add one last thing on that, because it's sort of similar to what that community is, but Wi-Fi tribe.co.
Okay.
I've went on a trip, one trip at least with them. It's maybe a little bit different of a concept, but they actually move 1 month to a certain country. They rent, I mean, you pay then, right? But then you stay with, I stayed in Budapest with 20 or maybe 15 people in one huge apartment for 1 month. And it was amazing. It was so much fun. It was, we did a lot of partying, to be honest, but some working here and there too. But they had a little co-working space in the apartment. So a working area, everyone at their room. And it was an amazing way to connect very intimately, actually, because you live together with some very interesting people. And I would love to do another trip with them when it's possible, because now with Corona, it's not possible. But honestly, if you ever want to try something like that, I could really recommend that, actually. Wi-Fi Tribe.
I will check it out.
Yep.
I will definitely
it's
check it
really
out.
fun. And they do travels around the whole world, in Europe, Africa, in Asia, everywhere. So yeah, I like it.
Right. That's a good recommendation.
Yeah.
And to put one last thing,
go for it.
Not to go into detail or talk about it, but just to leave it as a cliffhanger, as a reminder for myself to see if I developed in 6 months looking back. At the moment, I feel a little bit a lack of direction and vision for my company. So the interesting point is that I'm, for the first time, financially quite stable, so I don't worry about that. So now there's space free to think, where do I want to go?
Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting place to be at, actually.
That's an interesting place, and I'm not how's it called?
Anxious?
Yeah, I'm not anxious. I think I will find it, but I don't know it yet. And of course, I want to know it. And so I would love to find help and have people help me dream big. What would be like the coolest thing that I could achieve with my photography? Would it be like to be on the cover of Vogue magazine Italy? Or would it be, I don't know, to meet, I don't even know which photographer.
It's kind of about what's the next level.
Yeah, what's the next level? Yeah, not what's the next level, what's like the ultimate level.
Oh, what's the ultimate level?
So what's the best thing that I can ever achieve with my photography in my life? What am I aspiring to? And I would like to find answers. I don't have any so far. And I think that would give me some direction, and then I could also know where to put all my effort and my goals.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's see where I stand with that question in 6 months.
I mean, I'm honestly curious and excited to hear about that too, because it is a very interesting crossroad or a place to be at, to finally get the chance to sort of be, okay, like what would be the ultimate destination that I want to get to? And I'm curious to hear actually where that will be for you.
A photographer friend, like a mentor, he said, what, being on the Vogue cover that's too small. And I asked him, yeah, but what, I need like a list of possible goals, what could be. And he said, yeah, it's to create pictures that stand the test of time.
That is big. Big. For some, it could be the ultimate goal, but maybe.
But I don't even know if it's mine. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, what do I care? If I'm dead, I'm dead,
I think maybe a question to ask for yourself is like, what in the end would you like to be remembered by as a photographer or like professionally? And try to see what where that question is leading you to.
Yeah, I will write it down.
So, but I would say with that, let's end this conversation, and we'll resume in some months.
Super cool. Thank you so much, Yalis. Thanks for doing this.
Well, thank you for coming on again.
And it doesn't matter if like we are the only people ever listening to this again, but this is so valuable for me.
There's actually, I mean, so it's both video and audio. So audio, it's like on Spotify and every podcast place. But I have the statistics of the amount of people who listen to the interviews or to the talks, and it's actually more than I expected, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, it's not 1,000 or
so 3 instead of 1.
Exactly.
Don't tell me the numbers. I don't even want to know.
Okay, but I mean, for a beginning podcast, it's more than I actually thought. So
okay, wow.
Yeah, so actually, and some people even that I know that were like, oh, I listened to that conversation that you had with that person on this podcast, and I was like, oh, okay. So I feel like more people are actually listening to this than you think.
I was listening to the one that you had with Philip and the other guy, Marvin, and also with a woman. And I found both of them interesting, worthwhile.
Yeah. The only feedback that I have received is that sometimes they are, and that's why I thought now is a good time to sort of stop, that sometimes they, that maybe 3 hours is too long.
Yes, I agree.
So I'm more trying to be a bit more aware to sort of not pass to not pass 3 hours, but to sort of go more to the 2-hour ones as a max, or 2 hours and, a few minutes. And to sort of keep them a bit more dynamic, to not stick. I did that in the beginning with one that I was talking a bit too much around one topic when we kind of said everything about it. But that was my fault, actually. I should have kind of converted to the next topic. So, but that was sort of the 2 pieces of feedback that I've received from people.
Okay.
To keep it dynamic and to keep it a little bit shorter than 3 hours.
It's interesting because the first time we did it, I was expecting half an hour. And then I was always so insecure seeing you so comfortable and going on talking. And I felt like, okay, right. Then we go on. So this time I was already thinking like, okay, I understand he wants it to be 2 hours long. So I'll just go on about it.
Yeah, it's fine. And it doesn't have to be like set to a minute that we have to switch over, after 10 minutes to another one or something. It's kind of like when we both feel like, okay, we've kind of said everything on this topic, let's move to the next one. But not to keep going about it hours and hours. But yes, there needs to be a depth, or I wanted to have a depth, and you have depth when there's an X amount of time that you can talk about something. So I don't want to rush to talk about something.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
But I don't want to over.
Yeah, it's good. But maybe that would be helpful for your guests to have like a rough expectancy of time. Say like, oh, this might last between 1 and 2 hours or something like this.
I just released a 4th episode, actually with the guy who also lived in Hamburg.
I didn't listen to it, but I saw that.
Funny enough, he actually turned 40 this a few months ago too. And we actually talked about that in the last bit of our conversation. But I actually gave him more directions about the conversation, because I also had more understanding of what I'm kind of trying to do with this. In the beginning, it's always going to be a little bit rougher.
Yeah.
So yes. But I agree to give a bit more structure and lines from okay.
Yeah, I mean,
But all right, I'm actually excited to talk for a 3rd time, and hopefully for a few more times on this with you.
Super cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that question then for the next one.
Well, thanks so much for this lovely talk.
Yeah, thank you. Any plans still for you tonight, or for what is it, for the week to come?
The week is full. I have a big shooting.
Okay.
well, big. I mean, Wednesday and Thursday, and I recently did a big shooting, and the people have selected the, I don't know, 60 photographs, so I have to do the retouching the end of the rest of the week. And for tonight, yeah, I mean, I'm reading a book. I'm trying to read a novel at night, so to not only put my head full of, those books about self-development. And I like science fiction a lot.
Me too.
And I heard on Tim Ferriss' podcast, but also from other sources, that Dune, the desert planet.
I've read it, yeah.
Yeah, that is like one of the best science fiction novels of all times. And I maybe the mistake was that I bought it in German, but I don't like it. And I'm already 5 chapters in, but I cannot admit this to myself because I think like something must be wrong with me,
No.
because if it's the greatest, I have to give it another try, so maybe tonight I'll read another chapter.
I actually made not too long ago a YouTube video, also my personal YouTube channel, because it's actually one of the best tips that I ever applied to falling asleep is to read fiction books. And I actually made a video where I recommended, because I've read so many fiction books, where I read some of the best fiction books that I've read over the last few years. So I have read Dune. I actually do not recommend it.
Interesting.
It is. I agree. I mean, a lot of people. Yeah, I know a lot of actually who are very into fiction books as well, who do not like the book either.
Okay.
It's a bit too complex sometimes, and it's a bit too confusing, and the story is not always too
and badly written. I feel like
gripping. Yeah, that could be the German translation though. But
that might be the German. Like for example, sentences like I learned about when you write good fiction is that you create an atmosphere and you don't say the things bluntly. Like you don't say, he went down the stairs to the cellar and it was so scary. That's like a bad writing. You would write like, he went down the stairs and the darkness lurked up and the candle was blowing in the wind of the open window, so that you create this
a visual sense,
this feeling. And I feel that in this book they're doing that. It's like writing, the Lord of so and so was really ugly. Like, no, you should write like he had a big belly and had like, I don't know, like bad skin or blah blah blah, and that makes me think that he's ugly, but don't write like he's ugly.
Yeah, well, but a huge reason why it's actually such talked about book is because it was sort of one of the first huge fantasy fiction books that had very deep and complex lore and story, and so it's kind of like that's why it's many times it's sort of like the first one that started everything, like Star Wars and all. But I can't really recommend it, to be honest, to people. If you would like a good fiction book, I honestly could either recommend Brandon Sanderson, the writer. He has honestly, he's so, like, I'm such a huge fan of him, and he's still alive.
Is it science fiction or just fiction in general?
It's science fiction, fantasy. He writes very different kind of stories. If you like more science fiction, do you like more science fiction or fantasy?
No, I like fantasy. I like science fiction. I mean, I read a lot of genres. I don't really read horror.
Yeah, okay then. But honestly, Brandon Sanderson, he is an amazing writer. Holy crap! If you would like to read a trilogy of him, the Mistborn trilogy, I've recommended that trilogy to a few friends of mine, and each one loved them.
So it's Misborn?
Mistborn, like mist.
Like born from being born, like as a birth?
Kind of being born in the mist, but then Mistborn.
Mist.
Yeah, the mist, like fog. I really recommend that. If you wouldn't...
Maybe I should read it in English, because I don't have a problem reading in English, so if it it doesn't matter.
It's like watching a TV series or a movie that's dubbed. It's No, you should not do that.
Yeah.
You
Do
should
you
watch it
know?
in original. Ah, no, Germany does that. You should not do that.
No, 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 no. I tried to watch it in English. Do you know the series New Girl
I know
with
it. I mean,
with
I've never really watched it.
Zoe Deschanel, the actress? Okay, no, I thought
Yeah.
maybe we could connect because I
Sorry.
love it so much, and I don't watch any series usually. But anyways, doesn't matter. Okay,
Yeah.
Brandon Sanderson. I will
Yes.
look that
So
up.
that's one. A last one that I would highly recommend, and that's one that I cannot stop reading right now. And I start with this is it's from Robin Hobb. She's a writer, but she's also one of the all-time great writers of this age, of this time, and Brandon Sanderson as well actually. But and the Farseer trilogy is honestly so far to me my favorite book series.
Is it because I'm longing for page turner? You know, I don't want to work through
Oh,
my books.
you! I have trouble. I'm looking forward every night to start reading that book again.
Oh, super cool.
So
Robin Hobb.
Robin Hobb, the
Yeah.
Farseer trilogy. It has everything. It really has everything for me. There's magic. He can talk with animals. Well, I mean that sounds maybe kind of weird, but like it's so in depth, well explained, so great written. It's hard to even put it into words, but it's highly recommended. Yep.
Super, super. I like that. Do you remember the book that I read when I was in Bali from, I forgot his name, Philip Pullman. So the movie that was made years later was called The Golden Compass, I
Oh
think.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Northern Lights, and then the Amber Spyglass, and
The books should be really good. The movie sucks.
oh, you watched the movie already? I didn't watch it.
Oh no, I didn't watch it because it was so badly
Ah,
reviewed.
okay.
But the books,
Because the books, I mean, I don't know your taste in books so well, but I love them.
yeah, yeah.
They are still moving me, even though it's been months that I read them, and
Mm-hmm.
still like I still wish I could go back to that world.
All right, then
I
I've
think you
not.
could give it a try, but it's like more written for children or teenagers, but still a lot of adults read it.
Well, I've actually read Narnia.
Oh, I love Narnia. Oh
Yes.
my God, it's one of my all-time
And
favorites.
I was telling this some years ago, or like a year ago, to a friend, and he was like, "But that's for children." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's great."
I should reread it because I read it as a child and I love it.
Right, but if you want to get lost in a world that is so well thought out and built out, then yeah, check out the Farseer trilogy. It has
Okay.
actually, I mean, it has a trilogy. I've finished that, and it has actually about 9 books in the whole world, I think. Yeah, and now I'm reading the second trilogy in that world, and then after that, I think there's even 12 books. Yeah,
Oh my God.
so yeah, I mean, like, there's so much to get into. But the trilogy, the first one alone, it could be enough for you to read if you don't want to consume afterwards anymore. That has kind of like a finishing line or story. The ending is good. But if
I
you want to
think
consume,
the older I get, the less I can read books that are too scary. Is it like is there a lot of blood and
no, but it is, you feel, and this is, I do like this, you feel the struggle. Like it is so well written, and for example, sometimes you have with a book that they travel to some long far destination, and then one day after, it seems in the book that the next page they're there. Like
Mhm.
sometimes in some books you have that when they in that book travel to some far destination, you're literally going on with you. It feels like you are traveling with them for three months, for example, or
Okay.
something. So it feels like the pressure or the struggle in the book, you do feel that, but it's not horror or a lot of blood or that. It's not like
Okay.
that.
Okay. Well, struggle, nothing against
But there's
struggle.
some struggles that that creates a story, right? So
Did you read Harry Potter?
yeah, I did.
Sometime?
But only until the third book, and not because I don't want to read the next or the other ones, but I also just recently, like last year, also started with that. But I
Oh,
just
really? Just recently? Wow.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God. Okay. I read them when I was 16 or something.
Yeah, I didn't read books until I was 12. Sorry, 18. Uh,
Oh, what?
I read my first book when I was no, yeah, no, 21 actually. Sorry. Yeah,
Apart from the books you had to read at school, I guess.
we didn't have to read books in school like that. We had to.
What
Uh,
crappy school were you going
yeah, I didn't went to a great school,
to?
or I mean, it was a great school in certain aspects, but not to
Oh
create
my God.
general
So if
knowledge.
I ever have a son and he doesn't read, then I shouldn't give up hope because apparently you can start with 21 and still.
But look, I wasn't exposed to good books, so I didn't know that there were good books. I just saw a big book and I was like, yeah, I didn't have any interest in it because no interest was sparked in the past from anyone to me. You have to be introduced to it, right?
Yeah,
Y-
yeah, yeah. That's
uh,
true.
And then you can tune. But no one introduced me to it until I was 21.
Who introduced you to it?
This was in Australia actually. I think maybe it was that. Yeah, I think you. I think it was in Australia. It was like a survival training that I was doing, and
Yeah,
he was like an SIS patrol commander. He was in the army,
I
and
think
he
you told me
actually
about him.
yeah, but it was like around the survival training was also about the warrior aspect and the mindset of that, and he recommended me a book about that topic, and I just started reading it, and I was like, holy shit! And it was like it was my first self development book, and it's called The Way of the Peaceful Warrior by
Uh-huh.
Dan Millman. It's also made into a movie, I think. Good book. It's still a great book, but it was a first introduction in self development, and it like a whole another world opened up.
So interesting because also Naval Ravikant in his podcast he talks about that he
Mm,
thinks reading is so important and that the way to getting to reading is just start with any crappy book, like anything, or not even crappy, but anything that interests you. And if it's a
yes.
graphic novel or if it's a book about pornography, it doesn't matter
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because just to get you reading and then you get to more advanced levels.
Exactly.
And he said the ultimate goal is that you feel that you can go into the library and no book feels too big to
Mm,
you or like too threatening.
yeah. Exactly. And where you've never read anything, every book feels like too
Yeah.
much to do. So,
Yeah.
but I personally, and I'm gonna leave soon. But I personally wished someone would have introduced me earlier because of the impact and change that one single book had on my life, and it was maybe also in the right moment and time.
Mm.
But still,
Yeah, books can be a savior also.
books honestly were a savior in my life. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, but came late.
Hmm.
Well, I thought we were talking off topic anyways.
We
No.
were talking now off topic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. In my mind, I had a point where.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. Okay.
So now
I
we can
hope
say all the naughty stuff.
all the dirty things that you've been keeping in, you can put them out now.
Super cool.
All right.
What are
Yes.
you doing tonight with the rest of the night? There's not so much night left.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna start putting some things of this conversation already, finishing some things of that. I need to eat something, and then I'm going off to bed.
In which city are you at the moment?
I'm in the city of Antwerp.
So that is where your girlfriend is also.
Yes.
Is she in the same apartment?
No, she has an own apartment.
But I thought you were staying with her when you were in Antwerp.
Yep.
So in what apartment are you right now?
I'm actually in my studio. So this is actually not in Antwerp, but in Hest op den Berg, which is a small town. And I have a little studio here. So it's very close to my parents. So that's why I just went over for the weekends to see my parents. And and that's why I'm here. So I'm in a different building. But this is sort of the studio where I do my podcasts, or my video, like my courses or something, or
Okay,
videos.
so you're not in Antwerp.
No, I'm not in Antwerp. I'm in small town. But I will go back to Antwerp on Tuesday.
Mhm.
Yeah, so.
All right.
Mhm. All right, so let's talk next time some more.
I know. Yeah, if you really get to reading the Philip Pullman's trilogy about Northern Lights,
Yes, I've added that
I
to my
think
wish list.
Dark Matters or Dark Material or his Dark Matters series, or I always forget how it's called.
Oh, okay.
There's different names circling around, but you will find it.
Yep.
And then, like, if it's in a year or something, please tell me because I'm interested in your opinion.
What? Sorry, can you say that again?
Like, even if you read it in a year or in 2 years, there
Oh.
always comes the right time for a book. I think it doesn't, because people recommend you books and it's not possible to read them all immediately.
Yeah.
So sometimes they linger in your bag, in
Yeah.
the back of your head, or on the list for a long time. But then eventually you get to reading them, and then I would love to hear from you. And what do you think about it?
Awesome. I will tell you. I will let you also know when this is live or online.
Yeah.
You want to first listen to it yourself before I publish it, like publicly, or I mean, it's not.
I think this time I'm fine, but
Yeah.
I'm more relaxed now. And but maybe I could have a check on put the show notes. Maybe something comes to my mind that.
Yes, please. If I miss anything that you that you notes, then add that or tell me like last time because that was helpful.
But if it's not a big hassle for you, you can also, before you put it live, send it to me and I will listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, but just do as it's best for you. But I would definitely be interested in listening to it.
Of course. So I will send that to you. All right. Anyway.
Thank
Asja,
you. Good night.
Thank
Always
you.
a pleasure seeing you, sharing time with you.
Exactly. It
Such
was a huge
privilege.
pleasure. You have a nice evening there.
You too. Bye bye.
Ciao.